Hello everybody and welcome to Favorite Cricket on Favorite Sports. And day one, South Africa are on top against Sri Lanka. An abysmal batting performance by the Sri Lankans today in the first and second session. And Anrich Nortje and Dean Elgar just absolutely decimated the top order. Before we look at the day as a whole, please do subscribe to the channel. Bottom right hand corner there, smash a like on the video as well. Right, so Sri Lanka won the toss and elected to bat first despite a very inexperienced lineup. Quite a few changes as was expected because of the injuries. And South Africa opened up with Lungi and Anrich Nortje. As expected, Pamla did not get the new ball this time round. Just to hope, obviously in the first test was a case of playing his first test. They wanted him to bowl nice and early so that he can kind of get it out the way, and so that he doesn't sit there with his nerves showing before that first spell, which was not the best. It didn't prove out to be the best tactic, but you could understand the reasoning there. So Karunaratne and Kusal Perera opening batting partnership, and Perera looked very, very good, very positive. He took on Anrich Nortje quite a few times. Karunaratne looked quite solid, but very, very underwhelming in that he struggled to get up the mark. Just 2 runs before a bit of bounce finally got him from Nortje. And Kusal Perera continued batting with Lahiri until he would depart with 60. A fantastic delivery by Dean Elgar. But Dean Elgar, Lungi was going for next to nothing. In his first sort of spell, I think it was about 3-4 overs before they got the first run off him. So if the runs were nowhere to be seen really from anyone else besides Nortje, it was initially quite expensive. But then Dean Elgar came on. All he did is he hit the right leg, and he just brought the batsman onto a front foot several times, and he struck 3 times in 3 overs as he picked up 3 wickets in a row. Big wickets in Kusal Perera, Lahiri and Kusal Mendes. So massive wickets there for the youngster. And that is suddenly a whole different type of conversation that we're having with South Africa, in that we've now got a genuine all-rounder who can come in and take wickets and is a valuable part of the bowling lineup. And then just on the stroke of lunch, Nortje got Banaka as well. And the nice thing about South Africa is it was old traditional test match bowling. You look at the wickets and pretty much all caught in the slip cordon or by de Kock. I think de Kock finished with 5 catches, or with 4 of them from Nortje. After lunch, not much to speak on. De Quelle made just 7, Shanaka made 4. De Silva and Shamira put in a bit of and try to work hard. They're quite aggressive with their batting. De Silva made 29 of 27, and Shamira 22 of 29, strike rate of 107 and 75 respectively, before Fernando decided that there was no point in hanging around against the pace of Nortje and just tried to go for it. So Anrich Nortje was under quite a lot of pressure after the first test. Obviously didn't take that many wickets. Some people talking about, is he that effective, etc. But this is where I keep going back to. People have forgotten that we are playing test match cricket, and you can only sit there and judge somebody on a series after 1 or 2 tests. But Anrich Nortje finished with a career best 6 wickets for 56 in 14.3 overs, an economy of 3.86. A brilliant performance by him. Pamla ended up with 1 for 27, an economy of 3, the most economical bowlers of the lot. Dean Elgar took 3 wickets for 25 in his 7 overs. Lungi bowled nicely, was the most, on stats-wise, won't look as good because they targeted him later in the innings, but he did bowl quite nicely up front. Always got a very nice seam position, and they bowled quite nicely as a unit. Keshav Maharaj wasn't even needed because the seam is just tore through a very hapless Sri Lankan side, and you could see by the way Mickey Arthur was reacting how annoyed he was at what he saw unfold. In response, Dean Elgar, such an underrated player for South Africa. He's been there for years. One of the top test run scorers in South African history. He's within the top 20. He's just scored, and he's gone on to 4,000 runs. A very underrated cricketer. He was unbeaten on 92 by the end of play. Also 92 of 119. So you do have to say the Sri Lankan bowlers not quite up to scratch. Dean Elgar scoring at a strike rate of 77 is very uncharacteristic. Hitting 16 fours is not like him at all. He is a batsman that usually works it around and really has to work hard for his runs. But today he found it relatively easy going. Aiden Markram made just 5. He was caught by Mendes or Fernando, so a bit of a frustration for him. He would have liked to have kicked on after a very good first innings in Centurion. And I think my biggest worry about this match is if South Africa go on to post a big total and another good follow-up bowling performance, that South Africa don't bat second. Because I think what we need going to Pakistan is to have somebody like Aiden Markram play as many innings as they can. But apart from that, Rassie van der Dussen, much more hard-working than Dean Elgar. He sits there on 40 of 82, a strike rate of 48. So he's been doing sort of the graft where Elgar's been free scoring, which you probably wouldn't have picked between the two. But South Africa finished at 148 for 1, trading by just 9 runs and going at a run rate of 4 runs and over. So South Africa in the driving seat. I think we kind of expected a dominant performance from South Africa given all the injuries in Sri Lanka. But we definitely didn't really expect to see Sri Lanka bowled out for 157. So a lot of credit goes to the South African bowling lineup. And I'm not going to sit here and say, but it's a weakened Sri Lankan side. It is a weakened Sri Lankan side. But you can only beat what's put in front of you. And the point is South Africa started on the money this time. Kusal Pereira was going all right, a strike rate of 89, but he was the only player really who got any runs. Just 2 other players beside him getting over 20 and only 1 other player getting above 10. You're looking at, the top order, 2 from Kevin Ratney, 17 from Tiramane, Mendes 0, Banaka 5, Dikwela 7, Shanaka 4. So it really wasn't any sort of contributions from the top order aside from Kusal Pereira, and that needs to change. And there are experienced batsmen in that order who need to take more ownership and take more responsibility with their wicket and with their contribution. South Africa, on the other hand, you cannot fault a single player. Maybe Ed Markham, he'd probably be kicking himself watching Dean Elgar find going it easy. But, sometimes, it's test match. It's cricket. That's how it works. Sometimes, you can just lose concentration, you lose your wicket, and other players bat really well around you. But right now, nothing to play for South Africa. They'll try and kick on tomorrow and try and put on a lot of runs. With the current run rate of 4, they'll try and get to over 300. Probably look to go and get to up to 350 tomorrow. And try to put on as big a total as possible before putting Sri Lanka back in to bat. But it looks like it could be quite a short test match, to be honest, because South Africa put on a lot of runs tomorrow, and they could potentially put Sri Lanka back in day 3, which, at the way it's going. So it looks like, unless Sri Lanka really do fight back in the morning, that is very important. If Sri Lanka want to do anything in this test, and we don't want to get too far ahead of ourselves because it is only day 1. If you think back to Centurion, how good Sri Lanka were looking at the end of day 1, and then how it all sort of came apart and unraveled for them. It's important that South Africa try and show up tomorrow morning and weather an early storm, where they can come into it. There are so many different factors that could change throughout the test match. But for Sri Lanka perspective, it is vital that tomorrow they start well and pick up a few early wickets, or else South Africa could pile out a lot of runs and it can get quite ugly early. We'll be back tomorrow with another day 2 wrap up. Make sure you subscribe, bottom right hand corner there. Let me know in the comments what you thought of the game so far. Smash a like on the video if you enjoyed it. My name is Steven, and I will chat to you soon.